Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Adam Ship, my money share, as we gather here for a split slate on Thursday. So once again, so happy it's Thursday, a very unique day. We have three 1 o'clock games, three 2 o'clock games. So we're going to go game by game on those two. They're running two early slates. And then there's a main slate at 7 o'clock, but it's just four games. It's 7:10, 8:40, 9:45, and 10:07. Feels like a basketball schedule, Adam.
Yeah, really weird schedule for this one.
Yeah, so in any event, normally I just have the game counts in front of me, and I look far enough ahead that it's like, oh, nothing usually catches me too off guard. But this one did, just because of how spaced out the games were. And then the other unique one is I was looking ahead to Saturday, and Saturday the main slate is going to start at 8:15. I believe there are six games on it, but they're doing Fox Baseball 8:15 games. So they've done 4:15s, 7:15s. And now they're doing 8:15s. But in any event, we've got a fun little one here. Reminder, we are presented by the one and only Yahoo Fantasy. If you have not yet signed up there at Yahoo, what are you waiting for? Go to Osmo. Yeah, Osmo first. Go to any of the Spotlight hitters and stacks articles. You're going to see that on the homepage every day. They're free, and in the third paragraph has the link and instructions on how to sign up and get your initial deposit bonus over there on Yahoo of up to $30. That's available in YSRPs, which are Yahoo Sports Rewards points, and those are available immediately for entry into any contest. And then the other fun part, just a 12% management fee there. Most of the other big sites are up to 16. Some tick a little higher if you're not paying attention, but they're keeping it steady at 12 there on Yahoo. And then they also have the management fee free tournament that spawns just after lock each day. It's a $3 tournament to get into. No more than 10 entries from anybody. Your best 10 against their best 10. Whatever goes in is what's coming out in the prize pool, guaranteed. And those puppies usually fill by lunch, so don't miss out on that. All right, Adam, let's walk through game by game here and see what we have. For our first six, we've got some warm days here. I mean, it's going to be 82 in Detroit. It's going to be touching 90 in Philly. It's 80 degrees in St. Paul or / Minneapolis there. And then Milwaukee, well, really doesn't matter. They can have the roof open if they want. It's going to be 79 degrees. And then let's see, Pittsburgh, it's going to be 94 degrees. And Chicago, it's going to be 88 degrees. So, wow, a little bit toasty here. Let's start off with our first one, the Mets. The Phillies continuing here. Aaron Nola, 10,700. Zach Wheeler, 10,000 even there on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, well, we'll get to those prices in a moment. Adam, what do you got here for this matchup?
Sorry, had the wrong sheet in front of me. Yeah, I mean, two of obviously the best pitchers on the slate in Nola and Wheeler. Not a slate that's really deep in pitching, but you do get two aces here. A little bit cheaper price tag for Wheeler. Nola hasn't been great this year. He generally throughout his career has been better at home. Strikeouts go up as we would expect. The Mets are a pretty average offense. It's kind of a spot where there's not if Wheeler has his best stuff. I mean, if Nola has his best stuff, then he'll have a good game. If he doesn't, the Mets can take advantage. Obviously, that sounds really obvious, but it's just kind of how it is when you have an offense like the Mets that has hitters that are good enough to take advantage of mistakes, but phenomenal hitters to where I would expect Nola to have trouble regardless. And then on the other side, Wheeler does do a really good job of inducing soft contact from right-handed hitters. His strikeout percentage is higher against lefties. He'll face a pretty balanced lineup here. I would give a slight edge to Wheeler where he's cheaper, but would just rather roster whichever one is less expensive on the site you're playing on.
All right, so let's we'll talk a little bit more about the sites. I thought I had the wrong site up there for FanDuel, but yes, indeed, Wheeler and Nola are the two most expensive pitchers at 9,000 and 8,800. FanDuel is running a 6-game. I thought they were going to do one of their little fun, very early and early only slates, but they're combining all 6 of the 1 o'clock and the 2 o'clock games. Shout out to them for giving us some more choices there. But Wheeler number 1, Nola number 2. On DK, Nola number 1, Wheeler number 2. And then on Yahoo, because we like a little bit of a challenge, it's Nola number 4, Wheeler number 5. But it's 3 later slate guys in Walker Buehler at Colorado leading the charge. You have Steven Strasburg at Miami. And then you have Griffin Canning versus Oakland. So Strasburg becomes sort of interesting there at 4,900. But Nola coming in at 40, Peacock at 40, and Wheeler at 39. Mike Leake, yikes, don't really want to play him against the Brew Crew. We'll get to him, but he's at 37. So kind of, catch as catch can, I believe the kids are saying these days. Somewhere in an alternate universe, Adam. But if we're focusing on the hitters just for a moment here, is it going to be Pete Alonso, Conforto, and then if you had to roll the dice, would it be Smith? Would be the three you'd look to from the Mets against Nola?
Yeah, I would look to left-handed bats. He's allowed a 211 ISO this year. 378 WOBA to lefties. Both of those numbers obviously really bad. His expected numbers are much better, so it does appear that he's been unlucky so far. 310 expected WOBA, 155 expected ISO. But, obviously you, without reason to think otherwise, you would prefer guys with the platoon advantage anyway. So Conforto, Cano, Smith, McNeil, the lefties probably in the top six, and then Alonso is just a phenomenal hitter.
Yeah, he has been all that and then some. Looking here at Wheeler, he has allowed 14 home runs in 101 innings. He has been pretty durable. This will be his 17th start of the season, Adam. He has a 4.7 ERA, 1.3 whip. He is one of the more expensive guys, but he's coming in with 108 strikeouts in 101 and 2/3 innings. That is, of course, the DFS gold is strikeouts. If we're going to target against him, is this going to be Harper, Hoskins, and Jay Bruce, kind of the three gimmies? What do you think about a wicked hot Scott Kingery, who is carrying a hefty price tag on some of the sites once again?
Yeah, I mean, Kingery's been really impressive this year. Wheeler's done a good job of limiting power to both sides of the plate. 149 ISO to lefties, 143 to righties. If you go back to last year and remember, he had, I think, the highest soft contact percentage to right-handed hitters. So if I had to take one side, I would lean towards the lefties. But I think that I'm actually a little bit more interested in a Met stack than a Philly stack.
All right, let's continue on here. This one is in Detroit. As I mentioned, it's going to be a warm one, 80 degrees, slight little cross breeze, 6 to 8 miles an hour going from first base to third base. Not really going to affect anything there for us. We have Ariel Jurado at 6,700 going against Spencer Turnbull, who is at 9,000. That's a pretty hefty price point there. Those are DK pricing. Turnbull is 73 on FanDuel, and let's see, Jurado, 6,800. Not really a fan of him there. But did anybody make the minimum here on Yahoo? Nope. Jurado is 30. I do like Turnbull at 33 on Yahoo. He would be one of my core plays. I was looking at him. I started doing a little bit of the write-up for the spotlight hitters and stacks, and I thought, hey, let me look to target against Turnbull here, and I'm just not seeing it with Texas. So I'm curious for your take. I'm actually considering Turnbull as a pitcher, though that is an expensive tag on DK.
Just because of his talent level and the price tag. It's tougher for me to get there on DraftKings, where he's $9,000. He's only struck out 15.6% of lefties this year compared to 27% of righties. His numbers against righties have really just been lights out. But against lefties, a 354 WOBA, 166 ISO, and that 15.5% strikeout percentage, like I said, kind of tough for him against the lineup that's probably going to have 4 lefties in the top 5 and 6 lefties in the lineup.
All right, and then on the other side, Jurado, I think Sampson. We're gonna say it feels like he could be in a bit of a turning point. Jurado, yeah, I think for him it was just a little bit of luck that got him his good games. He is at 6,700. We do have just 12 pitchers on our slate here. He's got a 4.44 ERA with 1.39 whip. He is mediocre at best. Nah, I don't even think he's that good when it comes to strikeouts. Striking out less than 0.8 per innings. 6.7, if I'm doing the math right, 6.7 per 9. I just can't in good conscience consider Jurado here. But if I want to target against him, Adam, it's the same names that we say every time when we're talking about Detroit. Castillos and maybe Goodrum, maybe Candelario, maybe Cabrera, maybe. What do you want to do? Most Jurado, anything at all?
Just because we don't pitching on this slate, and the Tigers are really, really bad against right-handed pitching. Jurado certainly isn't good, but has close to a 20% strikeout percentage against righties this year. 334 expected WOBA, 182 expected ISO. He's not great, but he's cheap enough.
Miguel Cabrera, congrats. He's got that 4th home run. I missed it, Adam. I missed it. 4 on the season, 247 at bats. So we'll be generous. We'll give him 2.5. So he's on pace for 10 home runs, 70 RBI. Congrats. You'd be a second baseman even 10 years ago. Yikes. A little bit scary there. Anything else you want to mention from this one? Any particular, if you were calling out somebody, Joey Gallo is back. He was activated 2 days ago from the disabled list, probably the injured list. He will be in the heart of the order there. That makes the lineup that much more fierce when you've got him and Mazzara and Odor and Willie Calhoun and Shin-Soo Choo. A lot of power there. How do you think people are going to be drawn to Texas? Does it make sense to go to Texas against Turnbull?
I think it's kind of appealing where they are relatively inexpensive. If you look on DraftKings, everyone except Joey Gallo is less than 5K. Actually, everyone's 4,500 or less except for Gallo. Gallo obviously is worthy of his expensive price tag anyway. And then, like I said, Turnbull's numbers against lefties just nowhere near as good as against righties. So I think Texas actually could be a pretty sneaky stack here. They clearly have plenty of power, as they are currently demonstrating against Matt Boyd with 3 home runs in the 5th inning of that game. So, yeah, I mean, just tons of upside here against the pitcher that doesn't miss a lot of left-handed bats.
All right. Geez, Adam, people thought we record this the morning up, getting up really early. Huh.
Yeah.
Do you know that Stratford and Laffey used to pull that off for about a year and a half? And
I knew that.
People thought that they were getting up at 5:30 in the morning to record the podcast. Brilliant. That what a tangled web they wove. That was like 5 or 6 years ago. Yikes. Let's see. That'll just about do it for this game. We don't have a starter yet for Tampa. Let's see if we have one on the MLB starting lineups page. We do not. So TBD there. That probably means some sort of an opener. Is Jalen Beeks due at some point?
Yeah, he's the follower.
Okay, there we go. DK. DK is on top of things. So Stanek looks like the opener. Beeks at 7,600 as the probable along reliever. They're going against Martin Perez. Martin Perez struggling just a little bit. He has had some nice games this season, but has tapered off quite a bit here. Let's start with Perez first. Do you think he was getting lucky at the end of April, first few weeks in May? And are we back to what we should expect? A solid, though not spectacular pitcher that lacks strikeouts more often than not?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's completely mediocre. He isn't great. He's not bad. Like he's better than he used to. Cutter, does limit power. He's only allowed a 136 ISO to righties this year and a 0.03 ISO to lefties. 20.4% strikeout percentage to righties. That was what I thought was going to come back to earth, was the strikeout percentage. I still think that he's good at, limiting power. So that does make him a reasonable option on this slate, point, but it's a Tampa lineup that does have some strikeouts in the lineup. Most of their good hitters are left-handed, so either they won't be in the lineup or Perez will have the advantage. Certainly not a play I'm in love with, but there's not a whole lot of pitching I am in love with on this slate.
If you were going to look on DraftKings with Perez and Turnbull, that's a pretty decent discount there for Perez. But on Yahoo, Perez is 33, and damn it, where did he go? Oh, they're both 30. They're both 33. No wonder I couldn't find him. I'm assuming you'd still be okay with Turnbull on Yahoo at the same price as Perez, but you'd lean towards Perez on DK for that savings.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, I still don't know how much like Perez I'd even get to, but I think that saving or 1,100 on DraftKings is worth it, just because if you look at, assuming that we get the lineups that we're expecting, the strikeout percentage for Perez would project a bit higher than Turnbull's.
All right. And again, just wanted to give guys some and gals that are listening some comparables here. On to Jalen Beeks. He is someone that, of course, you will be rolling the dice with. If he's going to be out there, he probably will be in line for somewhere around 55 pitches would be my guess. He has, in his probable long reliever phase, he has gone 50, 69, 50, 58, 46. I think that was the one he started. Had a 91 in there against Cleveland, an 83 against the Dodgers, but it seems more realistic that we're going to be getting somewhere in the 55 range. Is that worthwhile to you at this point with him being 7,600?
No, and I mean it's a really tough matchup too against Minnesota, so I don't really have any interest.
All right, let's get on over here to our 2 o'clock games. We have the Seattle Mariners taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Revenge, Adam. Revenge, I tell you, because 1969, before I was born, that was the Seattle Pilots. They went bankrupt after 1 year, and then they were purchased and renamed the Milwaukee Brewers. I bet you didn't know that.
I did know that.
You did know that. There you are.
Yeah.
Look at that. Baseball history by Adam Scherer. In any event, this is kind of a fun one. We've got Mike Leake, who's been giving up home runs to anybody who asks nicely. He's like the house that gives out the full-size candy bars on Halloween. But him in Milwaukee, in Miller Park, I don't care if the roof's open or closed, if it's a controlled atmosphere of 74 degrees, or if it's a nice balmy 83 like it's going to be in Milwaukee. I want to target against Mike Leake. Any reason I shouldn't target against Mike Leake?
Nope. Park that's great for left-handed power. Milwaukee has tons of it. They have the platoon advantage, obviously, against Leake, who's allowed a 216 ISO to left-handed pitching, despite the fact that he pitches his home game, or to left-handed hitting, despite the fact that he pitches his home games in Seattle, and the AL West in general, where you also have Oakland as a park that he pitches in. And he hasn't been any better against right-handed power. So tons of home runs and a negative park shift for Leake. I love Milwaukee.
Yeah, whomever is in the lineup, I think is definitely in play. And then, hey, Ben Gamel, there you go. A little bit of revenge there. Probably batting 8th or 9th, depending on what they do with the pitcher. On the other side here, we have Chase Anderson, who is, if I want to say, a slightly better version of Mike Leake. How about one that doesn't give up as many home runs, gets a tick more strikeouts, but is still just as fun to target against? If you were going to be going, I'm assuming you're going against Chase Anderson. A lot of lefties here for Seattle. We know that Chase Anderson was one of those guys that exhibited those semi-neutral / slightly reverse splits for a long time. But Narvaez, Vogelbach, heck, even J.P. Crawford getting into it with some extra base hits here. How are you feeling about Anderson versus the Mariners?
Yeah, pretty interested in Anderson at this price point at 7,400 on DraftKings. Like you said, there's probably going to be a lot of lefties in the Seattle lineup. Kyle Seager may or may not be in the lineup, but Anderson, like you said, for most of his career has been a reverse splits guy, has a good changeup that is just much, much, much more effective to lefties than righties. And that's held true this season as well. 295 expected WOBA, 101 expected ISO, both really good numbers against lefties. A 14% swinging strike percentage against lefties, in large part because he has a 22.5% swinging strike percentage on his changeup, which he's thrown 30% of the time. He struck out 23.1% of lefties. So assuming we get the normal lineup for Seattle, it's certainly a dangerous spot because of the park. But there's, again, we talked about Urado as a possible SP2 option. Anderson has more strikeout upside than Urado does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm looking at that. He has a slightly more than one per inning. Like doing the math, like what 1.07, which is going to convert him into just shy of, I don't know, 9.7, 9.8 per 9. That's about 2 higher than I thought it was going to be, Adam. Now, granted, it is just 50 innings so far, and he did have 4 appearances out of the bullpen. But okay, I stand slightly corrected. He's got a few more than I was expecting there, but good for him. Good for him. 2 more games to go. Pittsburgh and Houston. This one, at least on DraftKings, tale of 2 price points. You have a Brad Peacock coming in at 9,400. And then on the other side, you have Joe Musgrove coming in at 5,300. Let's talk first about Musgrove here. He may be, he may have some fun in this game, but he's coming off an outing against San Diego in which he threw 105 pitches, allowed 1 run on a solo shot, 8 strikeouts, and he scored 30.8 DraftKings points with 7 one-run innings there against San Diego. Now, much tougher matchup for him against Houston, but 5,300, Adam, you are one to like anybody. Well, you are one to consider anybody with a 5 in front of their price tag if they're pitching on DraftKings. What say you for Joe Musgrove?
I really hope I don't get too much. but I mean, he's kind of in a pricing tier by himself. For whatever it's worth, he has struck out 23.5% of righties this year compared to 15% of lefties. You will get a right-handed heavy Astros lineup. You will also get a lot of right-handers that don't strike out. It's certainly not a good spot. There's nothing about the spot that is going to make me endorse Musgrove, but he's $5,300.
All right. Did you know? Yeah. Did you know he has not faced Houston since they traded him?
I mean, it makes sense because that trade was only last year, and he pitched in the National League, but was also hurt.
Yeah, AL, NL. But I just in looking at because I thought, oh, well, let's just see who he's faced. Brantley, Chirinos, and then Wade Miley, and those guys were all on different teams than Houston when they faced him. So just putting that out there. It's always fun to invent storylines of our own. Mr. Brad Peacock, does he get consideration for you as the, well, dare we say, top pitcher of the slate, coming in with the 3.6 ERA? If we look at his home runs, 10 home runs over 82 innings, which isn't horrible. 87 strikeouts over 82 innings. We do like that. 1.1 whip, which means he just puts on just over a base runner per inning. 9,400 against a team that doesn't strike out a lot. How are you feeling here about Mr. Peacock on DK as one of the more expensive guys? He's number 3. He's 4 at 79 on FanDuel. That gets really intriguing really quick. And then he is the 5th overall. He's in there with Nola and Wheeler at 40 or 39. What do you want to do here on the respective sites with Brad Peacock?
Yeah, I'm not that interested in him in this spot. Certainly not on DraftKings at 9,400, maybe a little bit more appealing at 40 on Yahoo or 7,900 on FanDuel. But, you mentioned the Pirates are a team that doesn't strike out a lot, which is true. But also, even more specifically, they have, or most likely will have, a lot of left-handed bats in their lineup. And Peacock this year has only struck out 20.7% of lefties. Throughout his career, he's had trouble with lefties. He's been lights out against righties and then struggled with lefties. So you're kind of paying a premium for a guy in a matchup against a team that's very good at making contact and where he's not going to have the platoon advantage for most of the at-bats.
All right. 1 to go, Adam. And then we're going to get on out of here. We're going to let everybody hopefully safely have made it to work here on Thursday. Reminder, you got all sorts of the good stuff coming on Friday. You've got DFS Strategy Show. You've got the Yahoo Only Show coming in the afternoon. You've got Live Before Lock. You've got the Deeper Dive. You've got the Deep Dive Behind the Paywall. And if you're feeling really fun and you've got Sirius XM, check out Lofty. He is going to be broadcasting live with one Manny Laura from the FSGA. That would be formerly the FSTA, but that is the Fantasy Sports Gaming Association. They are doing their annual or semi-annual meetup. This is the summer Expo. It is in New York City, but XM Radio, Sirius XM, XM87, or Sirius 210 XM87. Check it out. They get a special broadcast 4 to 5 on Friday, and then you can always get them from 3 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. Our final game, Adam, we, I guess, saved the best for last. It's Chicago. It's Atlanta. It's Tyler Chatwood potentially coming in as the number 6 starter, dare we say. He's going against Bryce Wilson. Bryce Wilson at 8,600 on DK. What do you know about old Bryce Wilson here? I know literally nothing other than he's got a high ERA and he has 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, he was pretty good at AAA this year. He came up last year with Atlanta and didn't have great results in the majors. Only 21 years old, though. Fangraphs has him as Atlanta's number 7 prospect and as the number 69 overall prospect. I haven't checked MLB Pipeline to see for anything updated, but 14 starts at AAA this year, 78 in the 3rd innings pitched, struck out a little over a batter per inning. Walk percentage was really good at 4.8%, so that's really good to see. His ground ball percentage just 42%, so not great, but he did get 22% infield fly balls as well, which is favorable contact there. So pretty decent. He's a good prospect. He's still young. Gets a tough matchup here, and most importantly, on DraftKings, he's really expensive. But on Yahoo at $27, I think he's pretty interesting. On FanDuel, wow, he's actually in the player pool, and he's 5,700. You probably don't need him, but favorable price tags on Yahoo and FanDuel.
Yeah, and Yahoo, you do have the other hitters from the four later games that you can maneuver around in your lineup. So I think he's probably would be my number one or number two choice just for the added flexibility over there on Yahoo. I'm just looking at some of his stats here. You pointed out that he had pretty good strikeouts. Let's see, AAA Gwinnett last season he had, what did he have here? Why did they just refresh my page for me, you jerks? 22 innings, 28 strikeouts in his promotion up there. And then in this year, 78 innings at AAA with 79 strikeouts. So over a strikeout per inning, which we do like to see, because generally, I don't know what the rule of thumb is, Adam, but I usually knock 20% off whatever their strikeout numbers are when they first come up, unless it's some crazy talented lefty like Urias or someone like that. So most people I don't carry that over. But you're right. This guy does seem like he has some talent and some upside. I don't know if this will be a chance for him to stick, or it's just kind of another cup of coffee for him as he gets some more seasoning. But this looks like a good spot.
Yeah, well, not a good spot, but a good price point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm looking at the Yahoo ones. $27. Come on.
Yeah.
DraftKings, yeah, we're a little more tepid there, and you're right on FanDuel 5,700. Hey, if there was a Coors Field slate or Texas or something exciting, we might need that extra savings, but does not look like it on the 6-gamer for Thursday. On the other side, Tyler Chatwood has been, adequate out of the bullpen. They're talking about potentially stretching him out a little bit to pick up some of the back of the rotation duties there until they get into the All-Star break. I'm assuming you're not interested in him, but are there guys you would want to take against him? Perhaps, Freddie Freeman, Josh Donaldson, etc.
Everyone on the Braves with a bat. So Chatwood did throw 70 plus pitches. He opened the game for Adbert Alzolay in Alzolay's debut, and Chatwood threw 70 plus pitches. So he should be able to go relatively deep into this game if he actually manages to pitch well. He's 4,600 on DraftKings, so he gets the same nod of approval as Joe Musgrove. He's not as good as Musgrove. He's in a bad spot, but he's also cheaper. But, I really do like the Braves bats because Chatwood struggles to throw strikes and doesn't strike out a ton of guys. You have just a really talented Atlanta offense. So I would put Atlanta up there with Milwaukee as my favorite stacks on the slate.
All right, let's see. What does MLB say? Yeah, nothing exciting about him. I love the MLB write-ups. It's like the old-timey writing where they talk about in his career he's 11-3 against this team, and it's like, yeah, that has nothing to do with anything anymore. But I never change MLB.com.
Yeah. So I also no, I'm sorry, this is from last season, so forget that.
All right, well, forget you. I believe CeeLo said it best, but we're gonna get on out of here. Adam, look, a semi-modern music reference by me.
A musician I have heard of.
There we go. The Daily Double. Bruno Mars, I believe, wrote that song. If we're gonna get totally into that there, but CeeLo, forget you. It's a good song. In any event, we're getting on out of here. We have, of course, all sorts of content we mentioned coming up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and you can get an alert anytime we go live. Of course, that is going to happen around 9:30 on Thursday morning with the DFS Strategy Show. It will be, live before lock. We'll go off at an hour before, I'm guessing, maybe about 45 minutes before, since there's just 4 games. And we'll have to stay tuned because you'll want to see if there's a version of the Deep or Dive or not. We got a bunch of people traveling up there to the FSGA, so I'm guessing it might be some sort of combo show since there are just 4 games. But I'm sure that'll be some fun little strategy and other stuff to talk about. So with that, we're getting on out of here. You can follow Adam on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EMACDFS. And of course, it is Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.